So this light came with 2 different filters, and I felt like my last video I was so white, like washed out. And this is now like the orange filter, so it's a little bit warmer. So I'm trying this one out because the other one, I was watching that video and I was like, oh girl, no. Anyway. Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel. So a few days ago, I wrote on my Instagram story, would you guys like a video on how I planned my non-all-inclusive destination wedding in Puerto Rico? And surprisingly, I got a lot of feedback saying yes, like I would. Some women are still planning, some women are having to rearrange plans, and some people just wanted information on planning a wedding. So I was like, hey, why not? So first things first, we decided to have our wedding in Puerto Rico, and the reason we decided to do that is because we're both Puerto Rican. Our grandparents were born there. We both love salsa, and even though a lot of the culture and I feel like the heritage has kind of like drifted away from us because, you know, we're so Americanized and it's 3 generations down that haven't come from Puerto Rico, we wanted to keep our wedding still intact with our culture and our heritage and our roots. So we decided to go back to Puerto Rico. We were like, we're getting married here. I also took Chris for the first time to Puerto Rico for our 1-year anniversary, and he loved it. And we stayed at the Condado Vanderbilt, and when we got down there, we were like, this is where we're getting married. Like, whenever the time comes, we're getting married here. And lo and behold, we definitely got married in Puerto Rico. So Chris and I got engaged August 2018, and he wanted the wedding the year later, the same date, the year later. He was like, I do not want to wait any longer, and thank God we didn't, because we'd be facing some massive hysteria right now. So this video may be long due to the detail that I'm going to include. However, I want to be as transparent and as informative as I can for you ladies who are still planning to do a wedding somewhere down the line, especially if it is in Puerto Rico, because there are some tips and tricks in here that you can take away with you. I wish that somebody would have told me all the things that I knew now, but hey, you live and you learn, and I went through it, and now I'm here to share everything with you guys. I'm going to create an intro with times just in case you want to fast forward to something that's specific or something that you really want to hone in on, because this might be, like I said, it's going to be a very long video. So let's get right into it. Okay, the difference between, and I might repeat this a lot, the difference between your all-inclusive islands and Puerto Rico is that your all-inclusives will include the vendors with your resort. In Puerto Rico, it's like picking a venue here. You have to find all your vendors afterward, and then they will all come together the day of your wedding. Dreams is an all-inclusive resort that Chris and I went to in Mexico for his brother's wedding. It was absolutely beautiful, stunning. Beach wedding on the beach, cocktail hour was on a rooftop. It was beautiful, absolutely wonderful. Probably one of the best weekends that I had in my life. Dreams actually decided to open up an all-inclusive in Puerto Rico. Because of Hurricane Maria, Dreams was held off, and it wasn't going to be open by the time Chris and I were going to have our wedding. So there goes our all-inclusive down the drain. Therefore, there are no all-inclusives in Puerto Rico. There's only hotels and haciendas. But we will get back into that later. First things first, ladies, you need to be organized. I cannot stress that enough. So what I did was I bought a planner. And I customized it. It's an Erin Condren planner. And you can also put a cute little picture. This is a picture of Chris and I when we got engaged. It has amazing things inside. It has a calendar, gives you a list of what to do 14 to 9 months before, 8 to 6 months before, 6 to 4 months before, a week before your wedding. It gives you a note section, it gives you a memory section, it gives you vendors, lists, contacts. It gives you a whole bunch of shit in here. And I'm gonna tell you, I probably only use this for my seating chart. What I did decide to use was a binder of my own. This bad boy. It's very old, it's like falling apart. And I made tabs. So every tab, which I didn't label, I usually do, but every tab was for something different. So where do you start? You need a place to have your wedding. So the way I found my hotel was typed in Puerto Rican weddings, Puerto Rico weddings, and a whole bunch of hotels and haciendas came up. So the difference between a hotel and an hacienda: a hotel is a hotel. An hacienda is more of a homey vibe. It's more of a villa vibe. You'll find haciendas in the mountains. You'll find them on ranches. You'll find them right off of beaches. So they're very homey and very intimate. Whereas a hotel is a hotel, you know. So you want to think of, I mean, I really thought of my guests, and if I picked an hacienda, it was going to be very far from the San Juan area. So if people did want to do touristy things and travel, they were going to have to rent a car, and they were going to have to drive 2 hours to the other side of the island and then drive 2 hours back, and I just didn't want that. I wanted to stay close to the San Juan area. So Chris and I finally decided to pick a hotel called La Concha, and it's literally right next door from the hotel that we stayed at for our 1-year anniversary. So it was like perfect. Now, when we finally broke down the exact hotels that we wanted to see, Chris and I picked a weekend in November. We got married and we got engaged in August. We picked a weekend in November. We told our families, we're going to Puerto Rico from this date to this date. Please meet us there. And our families did. My dad, my stepmom, my mom, and Chris's mom. We all went to Puerto Rico. We all visited these hotels. So I visited 8 hotels in 3 days. We visited 8 hotels in 3 days. I made a schedule out. Looks like this. I'm a little anal. So all the way to the right, I have the date and the time that I made the appointment for. Then I have the name of the hotel, the address, and the contact person at the end. That is for every single day I did that. So you want to leave at least 2 hours between each hotel. You want to schedule them so that you schedule the ones that are closer together so they're easier to get to. And that's how I kind of planned our days. On the last day, we actually scheduled our engagement shoot because we wanted this kind of whole thematic vibe. So we made sure that our engagement pictures were done in Puerto Rico, so that way our save the dates represented, you know, what our wedding would really be about. Included with this, I made question sheets for every single hotel. So I would put the name of the hotel on top, the address, and then I would print out this sheet with all the questions on the side for every single hotel or hacienda that we decided to do. The most important thing, make sure that they have the date available. Another important thing is make sure that they don't have any events happening that same weekend, because that might interfere a little bit with your wedding, your hotel space. Let me see, what other questions did I ask? Ask about children, payment for children, see if they're gonna charge you for a specific age, what decor they provide, if they have a separate area for a rainy day, because if you have your ceremony outside and it rains, see if they make sure that they have a separate area and take a look at it. Do your vendors get to eat with you? Do they have to eat in a separate area? Do you have to pay for them? That's another question that I had to ask. Pretty much everything else is discussed with your catering manager, and they usually have the answers to all of that. That is everything involving like your first step. So really finding your venue, taking the time out with your family if you want your family involved to go look at the venues with you, take your question sheets and make a schedule for yourself. Number 2, my dress and shoe selection. So this really doesn't have to do with Puerto Rico, but I do want to give you some insights and tips especially for those ladies who don't even know where to start. So my problem with my dress was that my mom does not live in the New York area. She lives in Florida. So I kind of fit all of my bridal appointments within the same weekend, which wasn't a good idea, you guys, because I visited, I think, 3 or 4 places in one day, and I found a dress in every single one of those places. I cried in every single one of those places. Then again, I am a very emotional person. I would not suggest doing appointments and fitting them all in one day. One day, I ended up getting an email from RK Bridal, which is a bridal salon in the city, and they said they were having a trunk show for this designer. And I never been to a trunk show. I didn't even know what it is. But side note, from what I was told, a trunk show is basically when a designer comes and like premieres his next season dresses or her next season's dresses, and they're only in that bridal salon for a certain period of time. Then they move on to the next bridal salon and the next bridal salon. If you buy one of those dresses within the time frame that the trunk show is being shown at that bridal salon, you might get a percentage off. So I tried, I think, 3 or 4 of his dresses on. I was like one of the last people to try on dresses there because I didn't make an appointment, and I found my dress. It was kind of like a meant to be. Like I had planned all this stuff and I didn't find my dress, and then something unplanned came up and I found my dress. Another big suggestion, if you live in the Queens or Brooklyn area, I will definitely give her information down below. Do not, I repeat, do not get your dress altered at the bridal salon. They wanted to charge me starting $650 for alterations at my bridal salon. Now ladies, this is your wedding dress. I know you want it to be perfect. I know you are scared to let anybody else touch your dress, but I am telling you, I have found literally the queen of alterations. I don't want to tell you the price that she charged me for my dress because I don't know if she charges people different things, but it was not $650. Like my bridal salon wanted to charge me $650 starting, and this was without the bustle. This woman charged me nowhere near that. So I literally don't go to any other tailor other than her now, and my dress came out mint, like beautiful. I will leave her information on the bottom, and if you ladies are in the Queens or Brooklyn area, definitely go see Antoinette. Shoes, I wanted to mention shoes just because I really wanted to have my wedding on the beach. Now the problem in Puerto Rico is the beach belongs to the government, so I needed a permit for a beach wedding. Therefore, I needed to pay $1,200 to have my wedding on the beach, and if it rains, I was not getting my $1,200 back. So Chris and I said, hell no. So I did have to buy some shoes. I purchased my shoes from Bagley Mishka through Nordstrom. My veil was also purchased at a trunk show, and I wore my dress. Now, the day of my wedding, my dress was very uncomfortable, I'm not gonna lie. My legs were chafing, my straps were like super tight because I didn't want anything to fall. So I was like literally holding onto that dress till I couldn't anymore. And by the grace of God, and like, I don't want to sound like an asshole, but Chris and I started dancing, and he stepped on my train, and my train broke my bustle. So as soon as that happened, I put on my second dress. Yes, ladies, I did buy a second dress just in case. And, you know, when my stepmom married my dad, she was like, I bought another dress. And I was like, you're not going to change into it. Like, there's no way. Like, this is your wedding dress. This is the one time you're going to be able to wear this dress. No, girls, I took that dress off with the quickness. My second dress was bought from Lulu's, and I have it right here. Don't sleep on Lulu's, girls. I promise you, do not sleep on Lulu's. This was my dress. I actually bought this piece from Etsy. It was just like a rhinestone ribbon belt. And I had my tailor sew this on to the dress. And I wore this for the rest of the night, and it was like a fancy pajama. Once I put this on, I was the most comfortable woman in the room, when I really shouldn't be because it was my wedding. So just to summarize this section, trunk shows, you may get a discount on your dresses. If you're having a wedding on the beach, please make sure that you do not need a permit. And definitely, because it's just so hot and you never know what's going to happen, ladies, I would suggest getting a cheaper dress for the end of the night. Topic number 3, which is probably the most intricate. When you find your space, hotel or hacienda, you are probably going to be dealing with more than likely 2 people, your sales manager and your catering manager. Your sales manager takes care of your rooms, your blockage, those pricing. Your catering manager takes care of the day of, your menus, the reception, your actual banquet order. I am going to give you the most important statement I will probably say in this entire video. Your catering manager is not your day of coordinator. She is not going to help you that day. I think the only thing that my catering manager helped me do was fix my train when I walked down the aisle, or she tried to. Like, that was the only time I saw her throughout the entire night. But we will talk about day of coordinator in a little bit. Okay, so let's talk about your sales manager first. So Chris and I booked 10 rooms in the hotel. Some of them were ocean views, some of them were suites, and some of them were regular rooms. Now, the way our hotel worked was if those rooms were booked for a certain amount of nights, Chris and I would get 1 free night in the bridal suite. So I think we had to reach 40 nights. So if our guests stayed in those rooms for a total of 40 nights, Chris and I would get a free night in our bridal suite, which did happen. Thank God. They gave us a month before the wedding to fill up those rooms, and I'm going to tell you how I kind of managed everybody, because that was like my biggest concern, was how was I going to see who was going to book rooms? How do I know if I should book 10? Am I going to be stuck with that bill afterward? And you want to ask that as well. You may be stuck with the bill afterward, but I'm going to go into how I managed to do that in a few. And it was probably the most confusing part of the planning, because like these people do this every single day. So when she called me, my sales manager, and spoke to me, she was like on autopilot. Like she was just like, and I was like trying to write everything down. And so there were so many emails and so many calls back and forth that it was probably the most tedious part to get like my contract completely down. Sorry, I keep touching my hair. I'm just like not happy with it lately. All right, anyway, so the way I booked and managed the hotel rooms was through Minted. They also allow you to create a personalized website, which was amazing. So through them, we created a personalized website. We added our story. I added our engagement pictures. We added our date. And we invited everybody to check the page, because on that page was the link to the hotels. So instead of having people call you and text you and what's the link and this, I just said, go to mamboandlove.com. That was our website. Go to mamboandlove.com and you will find everything there. If they had any further questions, obviously they would call me, or I would just give them my sales manager's number. So your catering manager gives you your menu options. We opted for a buffet because it was more of a local cuisine. So it had rice and beans, it had benin, it had, you know, more of the local types of food that Chris and I really wanted our people to experience. So I would just much rather a buffet, because people can get up, they can get as much as they want, they could go back for seconds, and it's just not like everybody's sitting down. People could still walk around, and it just wasn't such a formal thing for us. A lot of people don't like that, but again, this is completely up to you, and these are just suggestions. We paid our alcohol by the bottle. Whatever we didn't use in cocktail hour transferred over to our reception hour, which was great. And we were allowed to pick the types of alcohol that we thought our guests would like. So we based our alcohol off of who was coming to our wedding. We gave them, you know, a list. We want this many of this many of this many of this. And at the end of the night, if things were running low, a maitre d' would come over and say, hey, you're running low on this. Do you want to add this to your bill? And Chris, I think, added a few more Don Q's to the bill. I don't really remember. I think he added a few more bottles of alcohol. That ended up coming to our bill when we checked out of the hotel. So it wasn't too bad when it came to alcohol. I feel like that was perfect, because if we didn't want to add alcohol, we didn't have to. So that worked out pretty well. So I think our final banquet order was emailed to us a month before our wedding because our numbers kept changing. So important things to get from this section. If you're dealing with a hotel, you're going to have a sales manager and you're going to have a catering manager. Your catering manager is not your day of coordinator. You need to have constant contact with them, which might be hard, but you need to stay on top of them because they not only have to deal with you, they have other clients, other businesses that probably have events at the hotel that they're taking care of. So just a big suggestion, a big pull out from this is stay on top of your sales manager, stay on top of your catering manager, create a website so it's just easy access for all your guests, and definitely ask if your rooms are not booked by that many people. If 10 rooms do not get booked, are you stuck with the bill? Looking for vendors. So this is probably one of the most difficult things that really Chris and I had to do because there aren't many wedding apps that have vendors from Puerto Rico. Because Puerto Rico is a not all-inclusive island, you need to find your vendors yourself. And for someone who doesn't live there and who isn't familiar with the people and the island and the companies, I was kind of nervous. So what did I do? I first downloaded The Knot. That is a wedding app that I have seen being promoted since I got my engagement ring. Like, The Knot. They have beautiful magazines. So I was like, okay, let me just try The Knot. There are no vendors on there about Puerto Rico. So I got rid of that. I found the Wedding Wire. Wedding Wire carries vendors in Puerto Rico. So I found a lot of my vendors through Wedding Wire. I also found a lot of these vendors through social media. So I would put hashtag Puerto Rico makeup artist, hashtag Puerto Rico DJs, and these vendors would come up. I would click on them, I would check their page, I would check their reviews, the comments. I would go on YouTube and see their videos. This probably involves the most research, guys. And I would also suggest making sure, if it is a country that speaks another language and you know they do not speak English, make sure you have somebody on standby to be speaking that language. Thank God for my stepmom, who is fluent in Spanish. We would just go over like certain nights and we would just be calling vendors and pricing things out and trying to talk them down and comparing numbers. And you know, she was just awesome when it came to that. She knew the questions to ask, she knew how to talk them down. So it ended up working for me because I had somebody on my side who can speak the language. So she really helped us out. You may also need to hire an officiant, which I didn't have to because my best friend and maid of honor actually has her officiant license. One day, I think this was like before I was engaged, she just like texted us and was like, hey, by the way, if any of you bitches are getting married, and she just like sends her certificate. I was like, what the fuck? Like, who does that? So when the time came down to it, I was like, hey, like, do you want to marry me? And at first she was a little hesitant. She was like, I don't want to fuck up your wedding. And I was like, dude, I don't even care. Like, my best friend is marrying me off to my other best friend. Like, this would be awesome. Like, I would love for it to be that intimate. She was like, all right. She was down for it. She did an amazing job. And I love you, Karina, for that. Also, ladies, if you are going to hire a wedding planner, which some of you might feel like you need to do. Some of you are going to feel like you need to hire a wedding planner just because you're not familiar. Again, you're not familiar with the area. You don't know budget-wise who's going to work with you. But that's probably going to cost you a minimum of another $1,000 to your budget. I said no. I'm going to try to do this on my own. And I did. But a wedding planner can also act as your day of coordinator, which is probably another expense that they're going to add on to whatever service that they're giving you. Luckily, Chris's cousin Irene is a lifesaver. She like plans parties on the low. She's such a hustler. And she was like, oh girl, I got you. Like, don't even worry. She was running around, makeup done, putting all of my decor where I wanted it, and making sure all my vendors were on time, and calling them, and they would call her, because your vendors do ask you, who's your day of coordinator? When I get there, who do I call? And Irene was my person. She honestly worked herself out for Chris and I, and I appreciate her so much. Irene, if you're watching this, Thank you so much, because she relieved so much of my stress that day. Things to take away from this. Guys, do your research. Find which app works for you if you need to find vendors yourselves. Check on all social media pages. They are going to give you the honest truth. Make sure that you have a day of coordinator. You're definitely going to need that. So if it's not going to be a family member, I would suggest fitting that into your budget. So now we're going to talk about your guest list. So guest list is kind of tricky for a destination wedding because you don't know who's going to show up and who isn't. They usually say about 50% of your guest list is not going to show up. So between Chris and I, we do have a lot of family and we do have a lot of friends. We decided to make an A, B, C list. A being high priority, C being kind of like friends that we do want to be there, but if they aren't, you know, we're not truly mad. So that's what it came down to. We ended up inviting 100 people. Now they say that 50% of these people aren't going to come. I made an Excel sheet with all the people that we did invite. Looks like this. So the green means they're coming, the red means that they declined. And I don't think this is, I think it was 2 pages. Yeah, it's 2 pages. 2 pages. So I put the title, so if it's a Miss, Mr. and Mrs., or just Miss, or just Mr., their first names. So the first one was Edwin and Irene. Last name Torres. The household would be Mr. and Mrs. Torres. So this was more for my guest list and also for my invites when I had to make my labels to send out the invitations. And then the number of people that were going to be included in that household. So 2, and then the address was the last column. So this kind of helped me out with everything really, to create my invites, my labels, and to figure out who was coming, who wasn't. At the end of the day, Chris and I ended up with 72 people, which is absolutely amazing for a destination wedding. But you also have to remember our family's Puerto Rican, so that was like a perfect vacation for them. So that's another reason why we thought a lot of people were going to come, because who doesn't want to go to Puerto Rico? You don't need a passport. Most of our family is Puerto Rican. Most of our family likes to party. So we knew that a lot of people would come, and just so we take the time out right now to thank all of you for coming. We truly appreciate it, and we thank you for celebrating our love. Now let's talk about personalization. So while I did have a florist and decor person, I wanted a lot of final touches to be my own. So I had a few things from my bridal shower that I took with me, a few gifts that I got from other people that I took with me, champagne flutes that I think I got from one of my coworkers, Emily. I think I brought it with me, and that's what we drank out of. A few other things, and I'm going to post them around here. Templates for my fans with the ceremony schedule on it, because it was very hot in Puerto Rico, so I wanted fans for the ceremony for everyone to have. Template for our guest book. So I decided to have our guest book be postcards that represented Puerto Rico that I think I bought on Zazzle. And then I also got a personalized little mailbox that said the Guzmans, and they were to write a well wish on the postcard and stick it inside the mailbox. My bridesmaids gifts, my parents gifts, Chris's gifts, and get ready button downs I all bought on Etsy. Personalized hangers for my maid of honor and for my bridesmaids and my junior bridesmaid. My chair signs, I bought chair signs for Chris and I. Chris and I also bought heaven signs for people that passed that couldn't be with us on that day. My garter belt was personalized, table numbers were personalized, card box was personalized, and we got personalized dominoes. So to have the more authentic feel, Chris and I got a customized domino table. And there was a huge story on that my dad knows very, very well, and my stepmom. So thank you guys. We also got a cute ring holder box from my cousin that kind of fit with our theme. It was very earthy. It was made out of wood. So thank you, Jessie, for that. We love it. This was all shipped. So now all of this stuff, I think I was able to fit it, besides the domino table. The domino table was bought in Puerto Rico. But all of my personal stuff that I wanted to add that I knew I couldn't bring with me, we placed them inside suitcases. Guys, this is all my stuff for my wedding.
Like, only a psycho would add more decor after they hired a decor person. Psycho.
And fortunately for me, my dad has a really good friend that works in an airline. So what we did was he took a flight down to Aguadilla, to my stepmom's family's house, and dropped all of my decor there until it was ready and time for my wedding, and to bring it back to San Juan. So he took a flight to Puerto Rico. I think he actually had to stay overnight in the airport because the flight got delayed. It was a crazy story. He took all of my decor to Puerto Rico and came back the same day. Like, that's my dad. And then closer to my wedding, my dad made the trip to Aguadilla and then made the trip back to Condado or San Juan area to bring all my decor there. And then I had to lay all of that shit out. It was intense. It was a very hectic few days. Also, another vendor that we got, I forgot about this, was a cigar maker. We had a cigar maker there. He was awesome. He was so good. We loved that. Chris and I stayed in Puerto Rico for 2 weeks after our wedding. It was kind of like our honeymoon, and we literally traveled the island almost every single day. It was just the most calming and beautiful experience that I think I have ever had. It was amazing. While we were there, we actually packed all of the decor that we wanted to bring back home with us, and we visited just a small post office on the side of the road. It was probably the smallest post office I've ever seen, and we packed all of the stuff in boxes and we sent them back home. And then by the time we got home, I think they came like maybe a week or 2 weeks after, so it worked in our favor. And I think both boxes ended up being like $100 or something. So that was just stuff like my decor that I couldn't bring back, that I didn't have suitcases for, that I couldn't bring back with me. So a takeaway from this: if you want to personalize your wedding or have more things added to your wedding besides what your decor or florist is going to offer you, you want to try to somehow get it down there before you go and see if someone can hold it for you. I mean, I was blessed to have my stepmom's family down there, and you know, blessed enough that they were able to hold my things. If you're not as fortunate, I would definitely call your hotel or call maybe your florist and see if you could send it to them and see if they could hold on to it for you. Because I couldn't imagine bringing all of that stuff down there when all I was thinking about was the day of my wedding. Like, it would have been too much. So definitely try to ship all of your stuff down there ahead of time. While that will go down as one of the best days in my life, it was very tiring. We did it in a year, and the constant contact between myself and my vendors was difficult because everything was done through email and phone calls. I couldn't just go and say, hey, I need to see this, or hey, I want to change this. You know, so it was very difficult. This is not the same for everyone. And I'm speaking for brides who are planning a destination wedding and brides who are planning weddings here. Having and planning a wedding is like having a baby. I'm completely serious. It is not meant for everybody. Everybody's going to go through their own emotions and their own stresses and their own anxieties in different ways. So just because it was great for you and such a beautiful time for you doesn't mean that it's not going to be a trying time for someone else. Everyone goes through this at their own pace and in their own ways. So ladies, if you are feeling anxiety, if you are feeling stress, if you want to cry every day, I promise you that you are not alone. Find someone to vent to. I promise you'll feel better. So your key tips to pull from this video: do your research, ladies. Check reviews, check social media, check different wedding apps, especially if it is a non-all-inclusive area that you are getting married in. 2, make lists for yourselves. To-do lists, guest lists, vendors lists. These lists will constantly be changing. They are living documents. These lists are going to be crossed out and ripped up and rewritten. 3, keep on top of your vendors. And if you have to threaten them, I mean, not like really threaten, but if you have to get like firm with them, do so and ask questions. I don't give a fuck if you feel dumb asking them. Ask them, because this is your money. This is your special day. You can ask whatever the hell you want. So make sure you ask questions. Make sure you be firm. Stay as organized as you can. That is why I loved my binder, because I was able to organize it how I saw fit and how it worked for me. So make sure that whatever you need to keep organized, you do so. Make sure you have a day of coordinator. I cannot stress this enough. Your catering manager is not your day of coordinator. So if you need to hire somebody, hire someone. But if a family member or a friend is willing to do it that you know is responsible, I highly suggest a personalized website for your guests, where all the information about the day of, about the hotel, about maybe touristy areas around there, can all be provided for them, and no one has to bother you. Now this is day of stuff. Take time for yourself, ladies. In the morning I did yoga with my aunt right on the beach, and my maid of honor gave me an hour to myself on a balcony, eating breakfast, writing my vows. My mom, my dad, my sister, no one was allowed to be on that balcony with me for an hour. I promise you, it makes all the difference to take that quiet time for yourself. And last but not least, do not stress anything the day of. If something bad happens, let it go. You do not want bad vibes that day. Okay, trust me, you do not want bad vibes that day. So if something bad happens, just completely let it go. And know that it will never be perfect, but that isn't what matters. What matters is that you're marrying your best friend with family and friends that love and support you. All right, you guys, so that's it. I hope these key tips and these kind of breakdowns helped you understand how Puerto Rico is different than all-inclusive islands or all-inclusive venues. If you're having an all-inclusive, you don't have to think about a lot of this stuff. But if you are celebrating in a non-all-inclusive place like Puerto Rico, I hope that...
Right here, by the loadouts.
That's my husband. If you have any questions, please make sure you comment below. I would love to give you guys some more information. I'm sorry that this was so long and so intricate, but I really wanted to be as informative as I could with you. Look at my notes. Look at this. And yeah, that's it, you guys. What are you wearing? We actually got this shirt from Puerto Rico. We went to Yauco. It was actually pretty cool.
Hi.
This is Chris, everybody. I know he has quarantine
No,
hair.
I'm keeping my hair above the
You're keeping your head above the lens. All right, baby, you have to say.
I'm really popping. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Yeah.
No, babe, do kiss. Bye.
Oh, that's like spirit fingers.
Yeah. Okay, get out of here.
Babe, those weren't spirit.
my runner. Aguadilla. Seven. Babe.